Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and I wasn't sure if I was going to shoot a video on this Aston Martin DBX 707 because, admittedly speaking, here at Daily Motor, I tend to pride myself a little bit more in featuring the merits of the more attainable and common sense and smart sort of vehicles, because that's what most people actually have to research and have to watch videos on and have to buy in their day-to-day life. They have to set aside funds to give themselves means of transportation. But some people get to set aside funds, or really, it's not even setting aside funds, it's just putting funds toward their transportation. And this is a car for those people. I've driven it briefly, and it's so much more unique than I expected it to be. And there are a lot of large kind of, or more like mid-sized SUVs now coming out from these luxury brands that are just fast and they're just bigger than their normal cars, but they're bland ultimately when you drive them and you spend time in them. What makes the Aston Martin DBX, and especially this 707 version, unique is that it looks so different than so many of the other SUVs you see out on the market. It feels so different from inside behind the wheel. It's not leaning on a corporate cousin, much like you get with a lot of the Volkswagen Automotive Group cars here, or something like a Stellantis product or something like that. No, Aston Martin is essentially still on their own, one of the very few brands that's like that. And so the whole car has a character and a uniqueness to it that is unlike any other SUV experience I have been in. So we're going to go out for a particularly spirited drive, and I'm going to show you how much fun this 4-liter AMG handcrafted motor is to drive. We're also killing a little bit of time while we wait for Mr. Tedward over there to do his intro on the Bentley Continental GT. You can check the link in the description for my review on that one. And then we also have good old Chris Brower over there getting started with his do-rag in order to review the Lamborghini Huracan Storado. Now that is a different color than the Storado we had earlier at Daily Motor, but essentially the same sort of car, so you can check the link below for a review on that one as well. Now, I should be squeezing in a sound system test as well for this Aston Martin. However, it is supposed to rain a lot over the next few days that we have these cars, and I'm not 100% convinced that we are necessarily going to be able to get a clean sound system test done on the car. There might be rain intrusion, and this actually has a kind of panoramic roof that I don't believe you can cover. Maybe you can, actually. Like I said, I haven't spent much time in the car yet. Let's see. Oh no, there is a cover that'll close, so that'll help a little bit, but it might be a rainy sound system test, but we're going to try to shoot it nonetheless. Look at this beautiful blue cross-stitching in the car. It's a nice leather. It smells really good in here. You got the Aston Martin bits in the rear seat headrests. This is a fun car to drive. I'm excited to get going. Also, the doors have a hydraulic piston that actually dampens them. I don't think I've ever experienced that before. Look at that. Is it going to close all the way? No. There we go. A little bit of help there. This being on an air suspension, it can technically still be used for some off-roading too. I started the winding road video in a little bit more of a light off-roading sort of situation, because you do still have a good amount of approach angle, good amount of departure angle, despite these crazy looks and aero bits and appearance and everything. So theoretically speaking, you lift it up in its terrain mode, and you could do some off-roading. But we're not going to be doing that today. We are going to be doing spirited driving on these Scorpion Zeros, 325/30 ZR23s in the rear. That probably goes a long way into helping this SUV feel so light on its feet. Do love me an SUV with a frameless door. Check out these fun door handles. I mean, it's in today's day and age, so many cars are just so bland. So it's nice to get into something that's, if a bit confusing at first, unique. I love that. Admittedly, this car is busy inside with all of its buttons, and it's a stop-start right up there in the middle. This is not a touchscreen built right into the dash. It's a screen that's controlled all through this somewhat Mercedes reminiscent rotary knob, which is kind of funny because Mercedes has abandoned the rotary knob, but Aston Martin is still rocking it here. Remarkably large center of the steering wheel as well. I feel like they could have made the Aston Martin badge a little larger, but hey, what do I know? All right, let's bring this baby to life. A little bit of a shakeage right there to the whole car as it came to life. Very subtle controls for the seat adjustments. It's interesting. Oh, you can use this as a trackpad as well. So you've got the rotary knob option and the track. Okay, so it's like old Mercedes. It's the older Mercedes setup that I actually like more than the newer Mercedes. That's funny, but yet just no touchability to the screen. Double pane glass, of course. Thick glass. Wow. Those are really thick windows. Would like to see a camera rear view mirror. That would help with the rear visibility. It's a fun gauge cluster though. Bring that up so you can see a little better. Terrain, individual, GT, Sport, and Sport Plus, all different drive modes that we have afforded to us. I believe everyone is ready to drive, so we select our D button, and off we go. So in GT mode, this just feels like a car, which is a good thing because a lot of times people just need a car. But there's a design to the way that the cabin is a little bit perched up on top of this hood, and the way you look down it, almost like a barrel. Ooh, you hear those blinkers? Again, no shortage of reminders that you're in something unique in this car. The 4-liter AMG motor. Fantastic powertrain. Oh, wow. Those blinkers crack me up. Could go for a few hotkeys, perhaps, for the navigation of the infotainment screen, but I suppose it's something you kind of get used to. Punchy throttle, though. There is a consistent reminder that you're in something with nearly 700 horsepower. 697 in American horsepower units is what we're working with here. About 668 pound-feet of torque. But what's interesting is actually the place and the way that power is made. You'll see as we get going here up into the mountains, the car screams at you. It's a very unique driving experience. Now that we're getting up to some spicier roads here, you make turn to the right on the drive mode, you get Sport, and then one more turn to the right, you get Sport Plus. Everything firms up. We hear some more exhaust. And then you wake the car up. Ooh! Some cracks back there. I don't even know if I'd call them pops. The steering still stays surprisingly light. Oh, it's cool being up on top, sort of perched with this car. You really look down onto the road. I'm going to throw it into manual mode here. You hear that whistle from the intake? Paddle shifters stay in the same position, right on the column. Oh, this car means business. And it does hold gears when you're in manual mode, so you got to make sure to catch it. But this thing is a handful. In a good way. In a good way, you want to have a car that's a bit of a handful that you got to wrestle with and wrangle a little bit. Sports SUVs have become so predictable. Not this one. Admittedly, that sound does feel a little synthesized in some parts of the rev range, but then there's other parts where you can tell it's just the motor doing its best to create as much power as possible. I can't get over that intake whistle and just turbo sound. that's just so fun. So we're going to be spending a good amount of time here with the DBX over the next few days and a lot of different sorts of driving situations. We'll kind of wrap up some of our thoughts with it after that time.